this 80 grand that you did on the account statements you sent through, so pretty impressive, right? So 800% return on that 10 grand. What win rate do you need for that?
I really don't know. I've had maybe 2 or 3 losing days this year so far.
In terms of withdrawing some of the profits, I mean, what's your thinking there? Like, you know, it's up to 80 grand. Are you waiting to get hit 100 or?
I don't know. I think I'm not too worried about it. I don't know. I might try to run it up and just see how the year goes. I might just leave it all in there and wait.
All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've got a special treat for you. We've got Trader Sumo in the house. This guy has just sent me his trading statement for the past couple of months. This year, he deposited 10 grand. They're all verified. It's pretty impressive. So I can't wait to hear his story. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, look, let's dive in. How did you get into trading in the first place?
I started out probably like most people, young and looking for some way to better myself financially. And it's actually my grandfather. I had joined the military, and he had kind of introduced me to stocks and options. And I got my feet wet, dove, lost a bunch of money, and ended up getting back into it after I was in the military. And we had spoke before. I had gotten into the intelligence world, the clandestine world. Probably your viewers, depending on where they're from, specifically the NSA. Some people are familiar with the CIA, so I was involved in all that world, and I kind of picked it back up, and I had a lot of downtime during that world, and started picking it up and learning, and eventually left and got into trading full time, and I've been doing that for, I don't know, maybe 15 years, going on 15 years now.
Can we ask what you were doing in, maybe not specifically, but what kind of work were you doing in the CIA / NSA?
The best way to describe it, there was a couple different things. In the military, I was predominantly tracking the work, like different countries' radar systems, and then I transitioned into surveilling and tracking people. I spent about 5 years over in the Middle East. If you may not be familiar, I know in Australia there's a big intelligence base there that we use. It's called Pine Gap in Alice Springs, I believe, or that area. And there's a show that is very accurate to, it was almost verbatim to what I did in the military, if you've seen that show. And then as I transitioned and went into the Middle East and that sort of thing, that was more like the show called Jack Ryan. If you've ever seen that show.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember seeing this Alice Springs thing for sure on TV somehow. Yeah.
So if you've ever seen Jack Ryan, I tell people, if you take away all the Hollywood stuff and you just focus on kind of like the analytical storyline part of it, that's more like, the type of work that I was doing. Developing, tracking terrorist networks, that sort of thing.
And so that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm just trying to get a gauge on like your intelligence, your own intelligence, in terms of like, are you kind of like a highly analytical kind of guy that did math, really well in maths or that kind of thing, or just regular Joe?
It's strange because I've thought about it, and like I grew up really humble beginnings. I grew up in, rural, like really rural Appalachia in the United States. And if you know anything about that, or your audience does, it's a pretty poor area. It's typically not thought of as very intelligent people are in that area. And I look at kind of like where my life has led, and it is, it's strange. I don't think I should be in the places I've been and seen or done or met the people I think I've met, but it's just weird how that works out. But in terms of analytical, I think I'm pretty analytical. I'm not very good at math in that sense, but I think I'm pretty good at, or have a knack for looking at things and seeing, like, just kind of figuring out how they work, or seeing patterns and things. And it kind of transitions into, I think it transitioned well into trading. So Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, start trading Forex indices and commodities with up to 800k of Blue Guardian's capital risk-free. Just pay a small one-time fee to take the challenge, hit a profit target and get funded. Then keep up to 90% of your profits and enjoy fast weekly payouts. Now, for futures traders, Blue Guardian Futures offers up to 450k in funding with 100% profit on your first 15k. With low targets, no activation fees and unlimited resets, it's one of the best deals in the industry. Visit blueguardian.com or blueguardianfutures.com to start trading today and grab their limited time discount code.
So you said to me beforehand, it took you about 3 years to crack it and start, generating profit consistently. How did that 3 years look? What were the ups and downs and turning points for you?
I think it's probably, well, you're right. It's been a while because that was, if I try to compare it to say how people are coming up now, like if I imagine you probably have a fairly young audience that are, getting the new generation or getting into trading, especially like I think I was looking at some of your videos, your popular videos were around that pandemic time where people were at home and they were getting into trading. And I think it's a bit different. For me, I think I went through the same things that pretty much everyone does where, you put money in an account. There really wasn't the same kind of resources that people have today. YouTube at that time was like not even really popular yet. It was still, I think it was still YouTube around the time was still like not even owned by Google yet. It was still,
we're talking 15 years ago, right? So like we're talking 2010.
Yeah, we're talking back, early 2000s, and getting into it when I'm, cutting my teeth and getting involved, and so it's a different world. But there really wasn't a lot of places to like get mentorship. There wasn't just, you had to read trading books or, and there wasn't like the whole chat room sort of thing. It wasn't as big as it is now or prevalent. There wasn't Discord, all the tools that we have. But I think I went through the same pains that everyone goes through, and it's kind of the same struggles that we all have where, you have to learn how to manage your risk and you just got to figure out what you're doing, and you come to the market with really no idea of what's going on, and maybe you get maybe you have a good day and you think, oh, everything is getting better, I'm seeing improvement, and the next day you get wiped out. And I went through all of that. I think all of the same mistakes that most people make. Yeah.
And so it sounds like you didn't really have much in the way of guidance or mentorship. It was like self-taught approach.
To some degree, yeah. That's probably like your next question. I would think is like, how did you learn, or how do you get into that? It's a lot of people ask, and I was a little bit different. I had resources that most people don't have. I think because of the intelligence world, I tell people I had a lot of time and I had access to, if you could imagine, a database with like every book on business or every book in trading or finance or that sort of thing. We're talking tens of thousands of books, and I had access to keyword search. So if I wanted to learn about support and resistance, I could go and keyword search support and resistance in this database, and it would pull up, every book on the subject of support and resistance.
Wow.
And you're talking thousands of books, and you could just go through and skip all the fluff that you didn't want to know and read what you want to know, and pretty much any topic that you want to know, if it's ever been written or if it was in their library. And at that time, so I think I had access to that. And then just like everyone else, you read books, any sort of information you can consume, you meet people, you talk to people, you look at what they're doing and the things that they tell you. And, I just try to take the things that I thought were valuable or that I could understand or make sense of, and then apply it. And then I just sort of made the approach that I have now, which I think you've kind of seen a little bit of. I don't know if it was the best explanation with Hunter FX. I think he's the one that mentioned me to you. So, but yeah, it's that's kind of the approach or the path that I took.
Yeah. It sounds like, because when I saw Hunter's video of how he sort of interpreted it, and I know it was kind of a little bit choppy, but it kind of looked like it was, you'd unpicked the whole algorithm to a certain degree to go, well, I can pretty much understand what's going to happen next on every single move. I mean, that comes with, it appears to come with quite a level of, I suppose, something's clicked in your head, right? And you've gone, this is happening all the time. How can I capitalize on it? I mean, was there an aha moment there for you where it did click and you're like going, hang on a sec, what if this keeps happening? What if I do this when this happens?
Yeah. I don't know if it's an aha moment or if it's, I don't know. It's, I think I had I think I've just been blessed to be in the right places and see the right things and read the right books and just with a mind that and I'm trying to be, show some humility because I don't think I'm anything special or anything, but I think it's just, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think I had an aha moment, but yeah, I do think the main things that we all learn in the retail space, the most common techniques or the things that you see, I think they're taught or you learn them because they're there, they exist, and it's just a way of interpreting them, and to try to extract an edge or value out of it, which takes longer. It's obviously that takes time for all of us, different speeds. But I think I had a big turning point. I actually, I had some developers. I developed an algorithm that uses a logical progression. And when I took it to that form, you had to have a certain amount of uniformity in the market. And when you're telling a coder or developer to program something you want to see, and you have to be, they need to be able to tell the computer, look at this, or if then, if X then Y type sort of scenario. So I think my trading is a very logical process, and as best it can be, and I try to remove subjectivity from it. But we're human. We're going to make mistakes. You said being able to predict every move. I think in theory that's the goal. That's what we all want to do. But I think in application, it's not going to happen. And anyone that tells you that is probably selling you. They have a bridge to sell you somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. So okay. So it was an algo thing which helped solidify stuff for you. I mean, that's obviously the technical parts of it. I mean, what about the emotional mindset part of actual execution?
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below.
I have like I said, I have a military background. I came up as a child in my youth. It wasn't the easiest. Our family wasn't wealthy or anything. And I was always just sort of a self-reliance. And, you learn in the military and in that world, you develop a sense of just self-reliance and discipline and just mental, emotional fortitude, I guess is the right word. But that stuff becomes ingrained in you, and you just become confident in it. And I think it's something that we probably all struggle with. I think it's probably one of the reasons why traders struggle when they're new. You're taught your entire life. You're basically taught, you're rewarded when you do things well and you do good things for society. And then when you're in school, and you have a bad grade, you're kind of you're not rewarded. You're punished. You come home, you bring the report card home. Your family, your mom might say, "Oh, this is bad." You get a spanking or whatever. However you grew up. But I think in general, you're rewarded for the good things, and then in trading, you're not rewarded, or no one's there you're rewarded when you win, but you're not rewarded when you lose. But the problem is, you don't really get that feedback right away, because you probably know as well as I do, or anyone else listening, if you take a trade and it's it's a bad trade, you're not necessarily you don't recognize it right away. I mean, you might see that it's red, but how many times you've taken a trade and it comes back into the green and you're like, oh, I got out of this trade. The market bailed me out. Perfect. And you don't have anyone there smacking you and saying, hey, this is wrong. And eventually this is going to end up really bad for you. And you're not going to recover from it. You're going to blow an account or whatever. That I think that's an emotional toll that it takes on you that's not really ingrained, at least in my experience. I don't think it's ingrained in anybody. I think it's just something you develop just, through discipline, trying to stay calm, and just trying not to, being okay with being wrong, which all the stuff that everybody talks about, all the things that you hear, probably day in and day out.
I mean, because I've heard before where, military kind of background tends to give people more discipline, more traits that they need to become a successful trader. So I, in the past, I've had quite a few guys who've been on the show that have had a military background, and they just get the discipline because they know how to, they know they have to do these things, right? Yeah. They don't like doing them. They don't want to do them, but they just have to do them. And I think most people in the world, they just got that choice. Like, I don't like doing it, so I'm not going to do it. Whereas the military guys have to. Okay, that's interesting that you've got that background, and that potentially helped fall into this profitable trader situation quicker than most. I think 3 years is pretty quick. So once you did find that initial success, was it sort of just upward from there, or did you have any blips in the momentum?
No, I think it's if we're being totally honest, I think no matter what level you are of experience or maturity in your trading, I think you're always fighting against the thing that can blow your account up. You get better at it. As I've gotten older, I don't trade the same way that I did. Like when I was younger, I would think I've got to figure out and be able to take every trade and understand every single move in the market. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, this is a means to a financial ends that I'm comfortable. My life would probably not look this way financially had I done something else. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with whatever the market gives me today. It's better than, the alternative. But yeah, and then the process going from, day one to where I am now, I don't think it really changes. I think you still have to deal with those same falls. Maybe you get to break even, you get to profitability, and it creeps up on you, and you still have to fight the same thing. You still have to manage your risk. You still have to be willing to lose every day, every single day. I think it just gets easier with maturity and experience. So I don't think it changes much.
Because are you a no stop loss trader as well?
Yes and no, depends on the market environment. I would say I do value a stop loss. Yeah, especially in like this type of market. There are like, it just depends. There are specific settings where or market environments where I will allow losing trades to progress against me a little more. And also, your account size matters. The more you have in your account, the little bit more room you can give things. But I pretty well have an idea of where I'm wrong and where I'm not, and I try to, I'll cut a trade pretty quick if I feel that, it needs to be. And if not, you end up in drawdown. And I've done, we've all been there. I've done that so many times, in the past, where you either, it's this thing I tell people, when I try to help people out, I'm like, this is the main thing you've got to get right. Like, you can take any strategy, you can do whatever you want with it, but if you don't get this one thing right, where you manage your downside, it doesn't matter what you do, and that's common knowledge. I think everyone's heard that a million times, but I think you really need to internalize it. to make it.
Hey folks, just jumping in here quickly. Now, if you're looking to trade dynamically, you want to learn from my own trading mentor, JJ, then what you need to do is click the link in the description, register your interest, because we're going to be launching this Dynamic Traders Club very soon and you don't want to miss out. All right, let's dive back in. And are you the kind of trader that's going to take multiple positions in the near your entry point?
I don't know. It's hard to explain, I guess, but I've never really thought about it. I'll have an area that a specific, maybe a level that I'm interested in, or I'll have a couple levels that I'm interested in, and I'll try to get in around them. And then if I'm wrong on more than a couple levels, then I'm probably wrong overall in the idea. The direction is probably wrong, and it's best to just move on and chalk it up as a loss. But I have kind of an area, and I will add to a position within a degree, not too much. I think the position size is really important. So if I'm trading, maybe I have an entry at a certain place, and I'm willing to maybe take a second entry at a different place. But if I'm wrong there, I'm pretty well wrong, and I need to be done with the trade. That sort of process, yeah.
And what about scaling into positions? Like, say you've got a position running and another one opens up, or another entry level. Would you consider taking, more positions and basically taking a move to the extent and maybe having multiple positions during the course of that, i.e. stacking your trade?
Yes, and I think so. I don't think I'm limited to any one particular thing. Sometimes I kind of have a good idea of what my weaknesses are, the type of markets that I don't like to trade. And I know what I'm not as good at. But like the account statements I showed you, that's predominantly been one or two contracts in the futures, the indices, just trading 1 to 2 minis on like the NQ or the ES or whatever. So I've tried to just kind of keep it pretty small, and a lot of it depends on the market environment. If like we're in a pretty volatile environment at the moment, so I'm less willing to sort of campaign like kind of what you mentioned, or what I would call campaigning and going level to level and just constantly staying in, where I will be happy with whatever trade that I got, and then maybe I'm done for the day. I like I said, I don't think I mentioned, but I typically trade the New York session in the morning, a little bit pre-market. I'm not afraid of the open. I'll trade the open, and I'll trade up until about lunchtime, and I try to be done, because that's kind of the goal. Is like I'm not young anymore. I can't sit in front of the chart 12 hours a day like a lot of people, or like maybe I used to when I was young. I just can't do it. I got more responsibilities in life and just other things I want to do. And, I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm happy if I make a couple grand here or whatever, and I'm done by lunch and I can go enjoy the rest of the day. And so, I mean, that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question.
No, it makes sense. Okay. So, I mean, what about like, this 80 grand that you did on the account statements you sent through? So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? So 800% return on that 10 grand. What win rate do you need for that? Or how often were you losing?
That's a good question, because it's not something that I don't track it I haven't done that in a long time. So to be totally honest with you, I really don't know. I can think I've had maybe 2 or 3 losing days this year so far, and one of them I had some drawdown. I had to cut, and like I said, kind of those days where I know where I'm not as good. I know my weakness is predominantly I tend to trade worse in markets that are like really exaggerated and extreme and only one direction for the whole day. And that's where I struggle, because I'm more of a mean reversion type, where I'm looking for pullbacks and stuff like that. And so we've had some of those days in the last month, and that's where I've struggled. But I think I have a fairly high win rate. I wouldn't know though, and I don't think I don't think it would be fair to try to give a number, because I know in any given day or any month that number is going to change. Some months you're going to have bad months, some months you're going to have good months, but I'd say a fairly good. Most of the trades do well. And if they don't, I can work out of them. I can usually get out of a bad trade,
right?
Because I take such small position size relative to where the account is. At least, I try to.
Yeah, and so with that, like, I mean, are you increasing the position size when you're, you've gone from 10K to 40K? Are you now doubling it,
really.
Or just keep it the same?
I'm keeping it. I'm staying like one or two contracts, at least for the time being. At least while volatility is kind of crazy. I mean, you look at the NQ, which is predominantly what I've been trading, or the ES, and we've had like 10 to maybe 10% moves. Like if you look at the bigger structures or bigger trends in the market, you're having a 2% day on the NQ is 500 points. That's pretty significant, even with small size. So if your account is small and you're wrong a couple hundred points, it starts to sting. It starts to really hurt. So I haven't really tried to scale up, but I think it's just it's not that I couldn't. I probably could, and I probably will. Maybe double the size and go to 2 as like a starter position. But I just don't think it's there's no reason to do it yet. Just with how things have been, because why? I don't want to give back. A bunch of the profits. There's just no reason. So
and so, like, in terms of, I mean, this intrigues me as well. Withdrawing some of the profits. I mean, what's your thinking there? Like, it's up to 80 grand. Are you waiting to hit 100, or?
I don't know. I think I'm not too worried about it. I have plenty of money set aside from the past. I mean, like I said, we're talking about this specific year, and I've been trading for a while, so I'm financially okay. I could not pull money out of that account and be fine, and not have to pull from it to pay my expenses and that sort of thing. I don't know. I might try to run it up and just see how the year goes. I might just leave it all in there and wait, and just see how high I can get it. And then at the end of the year, see where I'm at.
We'll have to get you back on. So what that you just mentioned 2 or 3 losing days, right, this year. So we're in March, start of March now. So we've had a couple of months. Those losing days, I mean, do you do anything after them to try and reset, or do they happen consecutively?
No, I think I just, it's just, it's a setback, but it's just part of the business. You're going to have those days, and I'm aware of it. I try to think back, I did something stupid. I really shouldn't have done this, or I should have cut these trades earlier. And just, it's not that I change anything, or it's just self-reflection. Maybe I just think about it. And you don't beat yourself up too bad. I'm fairly confident in my ability over the years, and I know, if you have a bad day, you have a bad day. At least where I'm at now, I don't let it bother me too much. I'll review and look at the chart, and I'm kind of at the point now where I'm okay with not, if it's something I don't understand or I can't figure out what I missed, I'm just okay with it. I'm like, tomorrow's another day, and you recover and you move on. And I think that's just part of self-reliance and just maturity as a trader. You have to develop, or you're just going to struggle.
Yeah. And do you have any pre-trading routine?
Not really. I get up, I look at the market, just kind of make sure the world is not ending. See where we are. I look at maybe an economic calendar just to kind of get an idea of what events could trigger some volatility in the market. But and I have an idea of like, I'll pre-chart levels, and I'll have an idea of what I think the market's going to try to do that day. And I'm particularly like concerned with more higher time frame levels, and then I will trade them intraday. And I think I've had the most success with that. But I don't, like I said, I don't have a like any sort of ritual or anything that I follow aside from just basic. I have just kind of a quick plan and then kind of play it by ear as the market sets up during the day.
And I see you had a go at Apex prop firm. So can you talk us through that? How did you go? So you decided to do it. You saw that these firms are out there and thought, hey, I'll have a whirl at it. How did that experience go?
It's good and bad, and I think it depends on where you are as a trader, and I can elaborate on that, I guess. I think I've really only done it for maybe a year, and that was last year. I went fairly heavy, at least part of the year. I think I pulled out. I had about 100, maybe 150,000. I'm not exactly sure. I have to dread kind of looking at it because I've got to do taxes coming up. It's tax season now, so I don't know exactly what I made, but I did have. I had a good run on it. I know some people hit it way harder than me. I like it and I don't like it. Like I said, last year it was good, and probably before that it was better for people that have taken advantage of it. If you're already sort of someone that knows what they're doing, it's a good tool for the margin or the capital that you can get access to. However, it's not realistic in how I trade or how most people are going to trade. I think the prop firm space is designed to make you fail. And it's just their business model. They don't make money if you don't fail, if they don't have more people fail.
Right.
So it's and then it's just, I don't know. I like it that it gives you access to capital that you might not have access to, but at the same time, there's a lot of weird stuff that, I know people that their strategy is they average in with, maybe they use micros and they use really small position size and they average into a trade 10 times and they're highly profitable with their strategy. However, there may be a rule that says you can own, with Apex, they created a rule that you can only average in once, which if you're that type of person, you can have an extremely profitable strategy that still maintains a solid risk assessment. But now you're limited if that's your strategy. So yeah, there are things I like about it and things I don't. I decided this year I'm just going to probably focus strictly on personal account and try to grow it as much as possible. And I don't know. I'm curious. I think there's going to be legislation with these prop firms that people aren't expecting, and I don't know when it's going to happen. But I think it's going to change, how things go. And, I actually, I was talking to Hunter about it. He was telling me that there's a lot of cheating rings going on. So they're having to try to create all these rules to sort of stop people that are in these chat rooms that are kind of trying to game the system. So, they have a problem, and it's.
Yeah, I think that happens across the industry in terms of brokers as well. There's people in there trying to work out how to game brokers, and prop firms probably fall into that space. So, what about thinking about the guys who are listening here? I mean, if you had some solid advice for any kind of new intermediate trader, they're trying to get to the point where they're just consistently profitable. What top 3 things would you say to them?
Well, I think expectations are really important, and I think it's not talked about enough. We live in this world where there's influencers, there are people, it's an industry of influencers and celebrity types and social media and what gets your attention and gets eyeballs on it. And the problem with it is it's oftentimes not remotely close to reality and what real expectations should be. And I think that's a thing new traders should probably learn pretty quickly. You should have real expectations with what you can do in the markets, and also having expectations in how long it's going to take you to become profitable. And then have the awareness that you may never become profitable. You may not succeed at it, and you may not be cut out for it. And that's, unfortunately, that's not a thing that most people want to hear, I think. You get into this world and everyone's telling you about how much money you can make. And, it does get clicks, it gets views, but it's not for everyone, and it's not true for everyone. Maybe another thing is kind of what we talked about earlier is you've got to be truthful with yourself when you kind of look at who you are and the mistakes that you're making. You've got to be extremely nimble and accept that, hey, it's okay, you're going to be wrong, just try to get better. If you're someone that has insecurity in that you just can't be wrong, or maybe it's someone if you know that about yourself, or like you're more of a narcissistic personality type, you're probably not going to do well, because how are you going to handle the drawdown and when you're wrong? And you're going to be wrong a lot. You're going to get kicked in the teeth, and it's a process that takes a while. Probably, I tell people when I try to help people out, I say, hey, there's no guarantees in this. Like, there's no one there holding your hand. You have to be responsible for yourself. Try to learn everything you can. Try to ask the questions like, why am I doing this? If I'm looking at a chart, why is it important that this thing I'm looking at, is it real? Is it truthful? Is it important? Is it something that I can explain through the chart itself and not looking at anything outside the chart? Things like that I think are important. If I had to give advice, I think start small is another important thing. Try to lose as little as possible until you get comfortable. All the things that you've probably heard 100 times, and I think they're important, and people say them over and over because they are important. It's just a matter of can you get the thing to turn on in your head that sort of lets you take care of those. But we're in this world right now where everything is about getting views and attention, and you have to be you have to set that stuff aside and not worry about that, and not worry about what everyone else is doing. Focus on how you can improve yourself. If I had to, and I'd say that to myself, if I were giving this advice to myself 10, 15 years ago, that's probably what I would do. I would say, hey, get rid of all the noise, learn as much as you can, but take it for face value and what it is, and recognize that you have people marketing to you, or influencers and celebrities or whoever are marketing products to you and things to you that they're going to tell you things that may not be as honest as they should be. And you have to be aware of that and try to see through the fluff and just take advantage of the resources you have. I mean, it's a lot easier now, I think, for people, but the same problems are still the same problems everybody had 20 years ago, the same problems people have today.
And I think it's kind of like that's the void that like a lot of people really struggle with, is getting that connection between how do they sort of start to look at themselves and really analyze whether or not, what is it they're doing that is causing the issues around what's happening when they get to a chart and start placing trades and stuff, and why they're not profitable. And it is so hard to do. And look, I mean, I struggle with it every day as well. So it's a reality here in the trading world. Now, Trader Sumo, what's the best way for traders to get hold of you?
TraderSumo.com is my website, and I'm on Twitter. TraderSumo1 is the Twitter handle. So that's the easiest way to find any content or anything I put out like that.
Awesome. Well, look, folks, what we'll do is hook that up in the show notes. There'll be a link under the video and the podcast description here. Whilst you're down there, hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell, and we'll see you in the charting video that we're about to shoot with Trader Sumo. So you don't want to miss that. It'll be up here.
Thanks.